Hello, and thank you for lending your ears to Ratehub.ca's Real Money Talk podcast. In this show, we give you the real talk on all things money. We eliminate the fine print, we junk the jargon, and we explain how you can make smarter financial decisions. We're not millionaires, we're thousandaires, and we know you are too, so this show is for you. We want to talk about money because it affects everyone, rich and poor. Money shouldn't only be the occupation of the 1%, but rather the 99%. Avocado toast ain't the reason you're broke. Don't hold out lattes for paydays. Let's make money an everyday discussion. Hello, my name is Tyler, and welcome to Real Money Talk. Today on the show, our guest host is Ratehub.ca's Director of Insurance, Matt Hands. Welcome, Matt.
Hey, Tyler.
And our guest on the show today has been in the life insurance industry for nearly 30 years, earning a number of sales and service awards along the way, including one from the prestigious Money Sense magazine. He founded LSM Insurance in 1998 and quickly grew it into one of Canada's leading life insurance brokerages, which was acquired by Hub Financial in 2020. Not only is he an accomplished life insurance professional, but he also completed his certified financial planning certification in 2000. Please welcome Lorne Marr to the show. Hello, Lorne.
Hello, Tyler.
Thanks for being on, guys.
Welcome.
Well, whether it's your first time listening to the show or you're a long-time listener, we always kick things off with a money mistake or makeup. It's important to know that even financial directors can make mistakes with their money. I'll go first. We're trying to renovate our backyard, and so I spent about $1,200 last year sodding a 16 by 16 postage stamp size piece of dirt in my backyard. My wife and I treated it like a third child with tender loving care, watering regularly and everything. And this summer we bought more seeds to do overseed, some new soil to balance it out and fertilizer, but all a little bit late. And then we booked a company to take care of the lawn. But again, that was late. And so they could only come in 2 weeks. I bought a new hose because the other one was broken when I finally broke it out. Anyway, long story short, am I really going to spend $500 a year in maintaining a tiny oasis in the city? I mean, probably. Welcome to dad life. Matt, how about yourself for your money mistake or makeup?
Yeah, it's not lawn maintenance. I don't have that concern just yet, living in a condo downtown Toronto. Well, I do have something that I did a couple years ago that was a good, valuable lesson I learned, and it was about investments. So I was just kind of getting into stock trading. I thought I knew what I was doing. I was making a couple bucks here and there, thinking that, it was the greatest thing of life. And one of the first stocks I invested in was Tesla. And I was sitting there and I was watching that, great show he put on when he brought out the Cybertruck and he threw the metal ball out the window and the window shattered. And immediately I'm sitting there and I'm messaging my buddy going, oh, this guy's an idiot. We got to sell the stock. It's going to take tomorrow. Look, it's not even, bulletproof glass like he's talking about. We can't, back this product. So the next day, in a panic state, I sell the product, I sell the stock, and this is before it ever hit it big. And lo and behold, the opposite happens. Not only does it go up, it skyrockets, and the stock just takes off. So the lesson for me in that was, buying and selling and playing the market is obviously very complicated. You need to have patience. You can't be making rash decisions based on your gut, because if you do that, you're either going to hold on to something too long or you're going to sell too soon. And there's no guarantee to the stock market. You can be the best investor and you're still going to miss. So for me, the biggest thing was just kind of take emotion out of it, do my research and keep a level head when investing. And it's a long-term strategy.
I like it. Yeah, you can't time the market, right?
Never.
Anyway, Lorne, how about yourself? You got one?
Well, I don't know if it's so much a mistake. This would kind of go back early to my career, just trying to do everything myself. So what really had me as a business owner early in my career really kind of take things to the next level was embracing the principle of delegation. Being able to not be afraid to hand off duties to someone else. And, in a bigger company, sometimes you that gets built in, that everyone's going to have their own role. But as a small business owner, and there's more and more small business owners now, trying to do everything yourself can sometimes be a big mistake. because there's a lot of things that other people can do better.
Yeah.
And being able to hand off those duties and not trying to micromanage everything. And it's not a bad rule for parenting too. Your kids might end up a little better off that way as well. So that would probably be my big thing is not being too much of a micromanager and being really trying to delegate stuff as much as possible.
And I appreciate that. And I wonder, I guess as a business owner, it's hard to decide between whether I'm going to pay someone to do this or I can do it myself and save some money. But in the long run, maybe
it does. I think the first step is you got to really find out what you're worth on an hourly basis. And, it's as simple as kind of, figuring out how much money you're making, how many hours a week you're working. And then you got your average rate per hour. And then if you can find someone to do some of those duties for less than that average rate, well, then you probably got a winner there.
That's smart advice. I like that.
And that makes sense. And I just want to jump on that. That's often what holds companies back from reaching their true potential is someone not, being comfortable letting go in the leadership position and hiring people on to take the different activities and duties because, you can't do everything. I've experienced myself, even just in this company at Ratehub, just as the way we've grown and my role has changed. I've had to let certain things go when we bring on new team members, and it's always been a transition, but it's for the better, and you end up accomplishing way more, and you're more efficient.
100%. It's a really good lesson for as we see more and more people kind of getting into small business roles and struggling now with what's going on, and there's going to be a lot of opportunity in the future for people. So that principle will probably serve them pretty well. Yeah,
actually, I want to stay on your business here for a second and especially as people get into pursue new careers, given what's happened in the pandemic. You graduated with a degree in political science. And
that was my first degree.
Your first degree.
I did my undergrad. Not that I have so many degrees, but I did my undergrad in political science at York University a couple of years ago, around 1987 or so. That would have been around 1991, and then I did my MBA after that.
Right. Now, I've heard a few different people have mentioned this to me. So I've heard no one starts in insurance. No one graduates into insurance following their career path or degree or certificate.
Yeah.
They more just fall back into the field. And so I'm curious, what drew you into life insurance?
Well, it's a bit of a funny story. I was in Windsor at the time, University of Windsor at the time, doing my MBA, and I was completing the program, and they had a MetLife at the time was doing a sales and marketing program, and they had what's called the management training program. And I was talking to the guys at out in Windsor, and I thought, okay, maybe I'll do this for 3-4 months and see if I like it, and if I like it, then I'll get into their management program. So how it kind of worked at that time is you work for 2 years in sales. And if you do fairly well in the sales in your role, then you'd go into their management program. So I didn't end up working in Windsor. I ended up working in Toronto. I met a manager who was a good friend of mine, still a good friend of mine, Andy Zielinski. He brought me into the business, and I went under that program. And for the first 3 months or so, it started going pretty well. And then it was a different environment than it was right now. People would talk to you a little bit more on the phone. There wasn't as many, automation dialing services and stuff like that. So it was a little easier to talk to people. And after actually probably about 6 months, they basically said you can go into the management program. But my sales, I was doing so well in sales that I couldn't take the reduction in salary. So I ended up staying in sales, and then went into a variety of different roles, and went into the brokerage side of things. But yeah, it was supposed to be like a a 4 to 6 month gig. And I remember my dad saying at the time, you did your MBA and you're going to go into insurance after you did all that university. And I said, well, let's just give it a try for, a few months, see how it goes. And it went pretty well. And 27 plus years later, I'm still doing it in one way or another.
It's an amazing story that you've gone 27 years and you built your own business too, which is astounding.
Yeah,
what was it like launching LSM Insurance? Kind of more right when I kicked this.
Yeah, it was interesting times. I mean, I know you guys, to give you an idea, and I tell this story to a few people who talk to me. When I started in 1993 at MetLife, and then around 2004, they had become Clarica and Sun Life, and I left and went into the brokerage world. And how it worked at that time is all your clients stay with Sun Life. So I was 35 at that time, and I had a friend who was, and I basically was 35, and I was more or less starting over because your clients stay with them, and they give you a 10-year annuity. And if you contact any of those clients, you lose that annuity. So I basically was starting kind of fresh again. And I had a friend who was doing mortgages at the time and marketing mortgages online. And he said, you should give this a try for life insurance. And this is 2004. And there was almost nobody doing it. There was a couple of websites at that time, but essentially nobody was doing mortgages at that time. And I had my friend who was doing it, and I said, let's give this a shot. And I started doing it, and we started getting clients or leads all across Canada. And I said, this is pretty good. And to give you one of the things I was going to say on this, I actually, at that time, we were running a campaign on one of the companies, and AIG, which was bought by BMO, didn't even have a website at that time. To give you an idea how far back this is, we were getting a free quote from an AIG broker on Google AdWord campaign, and AIG didn't even have a website. So people that were searching up AIG would just land on our website. To give you an idea how long ago that was. And so it was. I started doing pretty well with that, and then we started the MGA in 2008, and that was kind of talking about not wearing too many hats. We were I kind of had to get people to handle the leads across Canada, so we started that, and we started our MGA, which is kind of an MGA is a managing general agency. It's basically the go-between between the broker and the insurance company. And we started off with 2 brokers. And at the time Hub acquired us, we were at 117 brokers. Oh. So we grew pretty good over that time span. And it's been an interesting ride.
It sounds like the fact just going to the MGA and then acquiring all the brokers. I mean, you make it sound like it was so easy, and then it just kind of came down.
There was a lot in there. There was definitely a lot in there. And in the early stages, I was more or less, you had to wear a bit of a hat everywhere. As much as I'm saying you want to delegate, you have to, work on the SEO stuff on the site with our team. I was handling the leads myself. I was calling the leads. I was selling a lot of the leads. So it was a lot of different things. But really, it kind of goes back to what we had talked about before: is finding good people to work with you, not being afraid to delegate, and getting everybody on board for the same vision of what you're trying to do.
So now, looking back on it, would you recommend being a life insurance? Would you recommend being a life insurance broker as a career? And what are some of the benefits, what's the best thing about working in life insurance?
I would recommend it as a career for the right person, because the biggest challenge people have being self-employed, and essentially that's essentially what you are. You're any type of commission role, you're more or less self-employed. So I think it can be a great career and a great business for a lot of people, but you have to treat it essentially like a business. Even if you're a one man or one lady or one person show, it has to be, it has to be your own business, because, it's easy to spend 4 hours thinking you're working when you're not really working. So to me, it's, if you have the mindset where you're able to, really value your time and be a self-starter and not have someone to need to give you a kick in the butt, then it's a good career. It's a great career for you. I mean, there's, I've known people that have over the last 27 years who have done fantastic, made all kinds of money, seen all kinds of things, helped all kinds of people. But then probably 80% of the people entering the business are out after 6 months because they can't really push themselves to work when they need to work. They need someone, they can't say, I got to do this, this, and this. You really have to have a plan each day when you come in. And I think it holds true for really any business owners to have a plan each day, what you want to accomplish each day. And kind of holds true for people in general, but definitely that much more when you're on commission.
Did you find, like, just starting your own business, and even from our perspective, being a larger company, when we went to go launch a P&C brokerage, we had a lot of doubters, a lot of people telling us that we were crazy, that we couldn't do this. You being on your own, trying to launch a brokerage at a young age, did you have a lot of doubters, saying this was a bad idea, that you shouldn't be trying this?
Yeah, there definitely was a lot of people who said, because, you really have the kind of the big 4 MGAs or big 5 in Canada, and then the smaller MGAs really, could have a challenge. But at that time, it was a little easier than now. Now there are a lot more regulatory requirements, and that was part of the reason why Hub was such a great fit for me, is because they had the infrastructure to allow us to continue to grow or to continue to build, and allow me to focus more on the marketing side, which is more my strength. But yeah, definitely, there's people who will tell you you can't do this, and you just have to find a path to do it. And there's usually a way to do something. It's the old saying: if you look for solutions, you're going to find solutions. If you look at problems, you're going to find a whole lot of problems.
A problem without a solution is just a complaint. That's the
yeah. As I know, it's a great line. It's 100%. It's 100% true.
And so, do you still do a to-do list every day, or what?
Yeah, every day I kind of start out my day, have my mud water coffee, or my mud water, which is, I'll talk about that at another time, but it's kind of a coffee alternative. And
is it the mushroom coffee?
It's kind of, it's a thing called mud water. You can Google it, but it's basically, it's mushrooms. It's got cinnamon. It's got all these different, I think there's 7 different ingredients, and it's got about 1/7 the caffeine is coffee, but it almost feels like you're drinking a coffee. So you get it's more of a smoothed out buzz.
Yeah.
So, so I'll have my cup of that in the morning. I'm a little bit of a health nut, or a little bit of a nut, but
that's what makes you so unique.
Off with that.
Well, no, actually,
yeah, for sure.
Phil Mickelson, right? He fasts.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. He's doing his thing. He's 2 years younger than me, so he's.
That's why he can still win PGA championships.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's a big part of it. I mean, it's if you don't have your health, you can't make any money either. So it's really number one. That's a big part of my thing. Is just. I said that early in my career, actually. I said, if I can't find time to work out and do stuff, then I got to find a new job. So that's to me really is the foundation for me is kind of 3 things I focus on are, staying healthy and active, family and friends, and work. Those are my 3 things. But yeah, I'll start off each day, and kind of do a little, not to go way off topic, but I do a little bit of a gratitude list, find 5-10 things I'm grateful for. Then I'll write out my stuff I want to get done that day. And then I go at her. That's what I've been doing for the last, 27 years.
Well, that's good though, especially during the pandemic where it's been a struggle
100%.
to kind of stay focused and engaged when you're working from home. So if you have routines that you can carry over no matter if you were in an office setting or at home, that's amazing. And then also just maintaining that life balance. I know that it's been difficult for me from working from home. I don't mind the aspect of working from home, but I definitely know that I feel like work's bled into my normal life, and I don't have that separation as much. You don't feel like that 9 to 5 separation as much when you're working from home. But the fact that you can maintain, like you're saying, being able to spend time with friends, being able to do the activities you want, the self-care, the working out, and doing the work all at once, even whether it's pandemic or not, you're just going to see more success no matter what. You're going to be happier, and you should see a better result in your work environment.
Yeah, I agree 100%, because especially in any kind of sales or small business type role, people are buying what you're selling. And, it's, if you look at something like life insurance, all of us are essentially selling the same thing. It's not like if they buy it from, us, it's that much, it's the same price if they buy a BMO policy from us versus if they buy it from someone else. But how are you able to deliver those solutions? How are you able to deliver value? And are you excited about what you're doing? I mean, if you're talking to someone and you're, pretty downbeat about it, they're going to think, well, this guy owns life insurance. He's not in a very good mood about it. What the hell do I want this for? Whereas if this is, if another guy or another lady's really excited about what they're doing and really thinks that and believes that what they're doing is good and they're happy about it and they believe in it, then that person's going to want to buy what you have, because essentially sales is an equation of what you're offering of more value than the premium you're charging. That's really the equation in any type of sales is, are you delivering more than the cost? And all the things you can do to up that value and just being, optimistic and believing in what you're offering adds value. I mean, if you were to buy a Lexus or whatever car you were going to buy from someone, would you buy it from the person who's excited about selling you a Lexus, or would you buy the person who has a Lexus and has got a frown on their face? I mean, I'd buy it from the person who's excited. I think, hey, if I bought this Lexus, maybe I'll be excited too.
Yeah. Actually, so I wanted to get into life insurance. I wanted to actually lean into it with some misconceptions. And then you can just throw these out. You can say absolutely not, and that's a fine answer. Or you can say, like just 2 or 3 sentences when I say any of these myths, okay, or misconceptions.
Sure.
Okay. Number 1, life insurance is expensive.
That's a bit of a myth, I would say. Well, it's not a total myth; it's a half myth.
Okay. Half myth. Okay. Number 2, I don't need life insurance because I get it through work.
That's definitely a myth. It's a myth, and the reason it's a myth is because 1, your life insurance will only stay with you as long as you're working, and 2, your work may not give you enough life insurance to cover your overall need.
Yes. Okay. Number 3, I'm too young for life insurance.
That can be a myth also, because if you have dependents, then you would definitely need life insurance. And if you're young, you may want to get life insurance while it's very affordable. If you're young and healthy, that's the least expensive it's ever going to be.
And finally, term life is always better than whole life.
That is a myth. It depends on the person's need. Term life insurance is for a temporary need. Permanent life insurance is for a permanent need. If you want life insurance for estate planning or final expenses, charitable giving, you need a permanent life insurance policy.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, it's life insurance is the product you buy, but you never personally use, right? So,
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's the most unselfish purchase you can make because it's not for you.
But no, I just kind of want to follow up. I'm just curious. With the term life is better than whole life. I've often heard that term is just the more popular product in the market. Is that true?
Well, I think there's more term policies sold than permanent policies because a lot of people, if a person has $1 million need and they've only got a certain amount of budget, they're not going to be able to buy a permanent policy. So, the most important thing with insurance is to get the correct amount of coverage to cover your need. So then, if you have a need of $1 million and you only have, $60 a month and you're 35 years old, you're not going to be able to get a permanent policy. So, and a lot of times that's what the person can afford to cover their need. So yeah, I would say there's definitely more term policies sold than permanent policies sold, simply because of the cost factor.
And how do you determine how much you need? How does any one person sort of figure out what coverage they need?
There's a lot of different ways you could do it. There's a lot of great, tools online. I'm sure, a lot of the great websites like Ratehub and LSM website. But yeah, so there's online tools that allow you to determine what you need. But essentially, the equation is, how much assets do I have? And assets being, liquid assets, and life insurance would be an asset because it's going to pay out if you die. And then you minus your liabilities, which how much you'll need in terms of your family will need if you die, paying off the mortgage, replacing your income, having money set aside for your child's education. And if those assets are greater than the liability or the amount of money that your family would need, then you don't need any life insurance. If those assets for most people are less than how much your family would need, which is the case once again for most people, then you need life insurance. And yeah, so it's kind of that's essentially the step. And there's worksheets you can do that, or there's online tools, but that's essentially the equation.
That makes sense. I don't know. It varies for there's a lot of scenarios based on what you described when the right age for people to get life insurance. But I'm just more curious: do you have is there an average that you'd say when most people are generally getting a life insurance policy at an age that they're getting it at?
Well, the critical stage is when you have kids. That's really the critical time. Is if you have kids, you automatically, essentially, most people are going to need life insurance unless you had kids and you're, independently wealthy, which is not the case with 99% or 99.9% of the people. So if you have kids, the reason you need life insurance right away when you have kids is because your kid can't go to work. If you die, you got this little baby who you brought into the world, means everything to you. That baby can't go to work if you die. There has to be money to replace your income. And that's where life insurance comes in. So whatever age that might be, that's for sure an age when most people are going to need life insurance. And, people are maybe having kids a little older now. But, a lot of people, like I said, may want to do it younger just because they can lock in at a very affordable rate even before they have kids, or when they take on a mortgage. That's another big thing. If you're take on a mortgage or you have lines of credit, you're not going to want to stick your family with that. So that's another thing when you want the mortgage or when you want life insurance.
You said something interesting. Sorry, Matt.
No, I was going to say I agree. We definitely agree with life insurance being a very complementary product to mortgages from the Ratehub perspective.
Yeah.
You said something interesting in that sort of last breath. You said about income protection but also protecting the assets. And
yeah.
And so I wanted to ask you about that. Just go into I'll put it this way. Is life insurance income protection or asset protection?
Well, the primary purpose is income protection. That's the most important need. Is you got to protect your income if you don't have the assets to generate an income. So if you're making, $100,000 a year, and you have, $100,000 in assets, liquid assets, and you die, well, that's not going to last very long, is it? So you need to have an amount of assets to replace your income. So if your family's going to need 70% of your income, if you die, then you need assets to generate that. And most people don't have those assets. So that's where life insurance comes in. I mean, if you have $1 million of life insurance and you're going to pay that, you're going to need it for 20 years, that's going to be able to generate, a certain amount of income every year for the next 20 years.
Do you find, because you also, now in life insurance, there's term and there's, permanent, like whole life or universal life.
Universal life,
and,
yeah.
But, how many people do you find, or do you think are Canadians underinsured with their disability plans, like long-term or short-term disability plans and critical illness?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of people. Disability insurance is a very undersold product in Canada, and in a lot of ways, it's more important than life insurance, because if you die, you no longer have yourself, at least, to pay for. Whereas if you get the family member who becomes disabled, not only are they not earning any income, but they still have themselves to pay for, and there may be costs related with the disability. So disability is definitely a foundational product, as is life insurance. Critical illness is a very important product. If I were to say as important as disability insurance, maybe not as important, but it's definitely an excellent complement, because it's going to, pay out a lump sum if you develop a critical illness and cover all the costs that can help you focus on getting better. So those are really three kind of, foundational products, with the maybe a slightly stronger emphasis on the life and disability.
Yeah, I just want to tack on to the different product and the features of life insurance, because there's some of the different ones come with, different benefits, I could say. And then, I've often heard some people talk about life insurance as being an investment as well, because there are some products that come with an investment component to it. What is your perspective of someone utilizing a life insurance policy as an investment on top of, the benefits of covering, in case of death or disability?
I mean, it can be, if sold properly or purchased properly, it can be a very nice feature, especially, for someone who's kind of maximized their RRSPs, maximized their TFSA. The life insurance can offer additional tax sheltering. So depending on the type of plan, universal or whole life, the extra money that's in that policy can grow on a tax sheltered basis, and it also pays out tax free. So it can be very tax efficient for the right person in the right situation. So it can offer a lot of benefits, but you want to understand what you're buying, and you want to make sure that it's appropriate for your situation.
So
that makes sense, and kind of tapping into your financial planning background on that answer.
Yeah.
So just kind of picking up what you say, would you recommend people focus on maximizing their RSPs and TFSAs first before considering life insurance as, like you said, described as an additional tax shelter?
Generally, yes. You're going to want to maximize those things first. I mean, you can never paint a brush with all situations, but for the most part, if you're going to want to maximize those things first. Also, probably add to that mix the RRSP. You're going to want to get your free money from that. So you're getting the Canadian Education Savings Grant. So that's another thing, or be another piece that you're going to want to be able to utilize as well.
Just trying to think of like a case study here for us. A couple, baby and a toddler. They bought a house 5 years ago. they're doing okay financially, you know, like certainly not in the 1% or anything like that, but you know, average combined income. What kind of policy should they be looking for, do you think?
Well, if they, with that type of person, they, you know, once again, you're looking at finding the need, which is the assets minus the liabilities, income replacement. So you're finding the need, and then you basically have a budget, how much you can set aside for your life insurance, and based on that budget, you're going to try and find the best solution in terms of a term, how long a term, and they may want to have, what some people do is sometimes have a combination. So you may, you know, if someone has, you know, $1 million need, some people may want to do like 100,000 a permanent and 900,000 a term. That way, at the end of the day, you have a certain amount of permanent that stays with you for life, and the term ends as the need kind of ends, but you still have 100,000 that you can pass on. Some people like that kind of solution. Other people may just want to cover themselves just for that need of 20, 30 years. Part of it depends on, you know, the person's goals. I mean, so it's a big part of it. That's a big part of it as well. I mean, it's, you know, what are they hoping to achieve? You know, what do they think their other assets will be at times? So it's hard to really give an answer like that. Hey, I did that pretty well.
Because it's very personal,
this
right?
is what they, say what they need. It's a personal thing, but that's, you know, if they're on a limited budget, definitely more of it's probably going to be a term policy.
I like the idea of I don't know what you'd call it in the industry, but I feel like it's life insurance stacking, you know, and because that whole life policy that you talked about, that's with you for your whole life, you sort of get it. And then that'll pay for, you know, your funeral expenses and you know, any like taxes from like capital gains, I guess. So that,
well, yeah, depending on the gains, but yeah, you know, there's, and really it also becomes another asset for your estate. I mean, that's what a lot of people, you know, they almost should think of it that way. Life insurance is essentially, a permanent policy is essentially another asset for your estate.
Yeah.
So if you think that, you know, you want to leave some extra money to your family, it can become, like I said, a very tax efficient asset because it can grow tax sheltered and pay out tax free.
You know, it just in social media and, you know, in reading the different blogs and things like that, one of the things that come up is that a life insurance broker is going to make a lot more money selling a permanent or whole life policy or universal life policy. And so sometimes there's some like, I wonder if there's some like, you know, dislike around those policies because it's like, well, you know, the broker's making more money and that's why they're more incentivized to sell these types of policies. And so how does someone, sorry, and then, you know what, I'll leave it there. You can, I'll let you.
Well, it's a bit of a misconception that there's more commission paid out. I mean, there's more commission paid out initially on a permanent policy because essentially the more premium you pay, the more commission that's paid out. But if you think about it, and not to cut you off there, Tyler, but if you think about it, if you have a 10-year term policy and the person's going to need insurance for 30 years, if they need insurance for 30 years, they're paying commission the first time, they're paying commission on the next 10 years, and they're paying commission on the third renewal. So, and the subsequent renewals are going to be much more expensive because they're much older. So the total commission paid out, you know, if you want to look at it that way, would actually be much more if you purchase the policy 3 times versus someone who just bought one permanent policy.
I like it.
So yeah, if you look at it that way, it's that's actually, you know, if you're concerned about how much commission's paid out, to me, you know, the commission's really, it's just a distribution cost. So it's whether it's almost like if you're buying a policy through a broker or you're buying a policy through an RBC call center, the commission that you're paying the broker, you're paying basically the salary of the call center person. It's all a distribution cost. So essentially, it shouldn't matter. It's are you getting the best plan at the best price? It's no different than the rent that RBC would have to pay or Manulife would have to pay at their office. It's just a cost of doing business. It doesn't really, it doesn't impact how you should make your decision, in my mind anyways.
I like it.
Yeah. And now we're kind of talking about like how people buy and interact with life insurance policies. I do have a question regarding like the digital. Now we have a digital landscape. It's growing like crazy. And consumers are wanting and looking for ways to transact online. But as we've kind of gone through, all life policies aren't the same. There's a lot of subtle nuances to them. They can be a little bit complicated. That's where someone like a broker like yourself or a member of your team of MGA, would be able to help and guide, a person along the way. Now, like, what is your feeling towards, like digital transaction online, or do you think that, that the brokers shouldn't be undervalued and that they still have a place, going forward? Because there are other markets like the UK where, the brokers are almost eliminated across a lot of insurance products.
I think they'll definitely have a place, especially on the more complicated products, like any type of permanent product. I mean, disability products. I mean, there's a lot of brokers that don't understand disability insurance, let alone a consumer understanding disability insurance. So same with, universal life or whole life product. These policies can be very complex policies. I mean, there's, all kinds of investment options in the policies. There can be surrender fees in the policies. If they're not explained properly, someone's going to end up buying the wrong policy. So I think there's definitely a place for advice in the future. I mean, if it's a simple transaction like, I want a $500,000 term 20 policy, yeah, I guess you can just go, buy that through some type of online portal. But really, why do you need a $500,000 term 20 policy? I mean, is that sure? This is the best rate on a $500,000 term 20 policy. But one, is that the amount of coverage you need, and is that the policy you need? So that's the big thing.
Yeah, it's an interesting space we're in, and I agree with you. And I agree with I mean, it's not just life insurance. I would say for auto and home, I would definitely see the value in brokers. And I feel like us as Canadians, we need to leverage that more and ask questions and not be afraid to ask questions to make sure that we get the right product. Because like as you just described, someone could easily go online, buy a term 20, 500,000, but is that the right amount of coverage they need? Does it have all the features they need? They think they're getting a great deal. They think they're getting the cheapest product in the market. And we often gravitate towards the cheapest rate or the cheapest product, but it may not be the right product and it may not have the right level of coverage because we haven't really, looked into the subtleties of the policy and how it actually pays out. Because, at the end of the day, you're going to find out later, oh yeah, I bought this cheap product. I thought I was getting a great deal. Oh, but in actuality, it doesn't cover what I needed to cover.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I wanted to bring it back to LSM. And I'm kind of just more curious, what made you decide to sell your business? Because you speak so, you're so passionate about life insurance, and, I know you said, you're around Phil Mickelson's age, but, you don't seem like you're ready to step away anytime soon.
Yeah.
You definitely seem to love what you do. I was just more curious what made you feel like it was the right time to sell your business?
The right time was really, I think, part of it was my age. I'm 52, but that wasn't the big thing. The big thing is the business had grown to a point where I would have either had to expand and really expand in a way that I didn't, into a lot of areas that it wasn't my favorite areas, the compliance side of it, the commission tracking, all of those things were really becoming more and more onerous. Even some of the new broker training, we would have had to grow in a way that that I wasn't necessarily sure that I wanted to do. We probably would have had to make some acquisitions. And it just, at this stage, it wasn't something that I really wanted to do. I really like the marketing side of it, working with brokers, working on different strategies to market insurance, and that's what I wanted to focus on. And I know a lot of the people at Hub for a long time, and they have a great reputation in the industry. The people that I'm working with, I had a relationship with, and it was a really good fit to allow me to continue doing what I'm doing, and they made me a very fair offer, and here we are.
Well, it's good. I mean, I wouldn't, yeah, and I didn't want to pose that question as a negative, because I think it's a very positive experience. Anytime you can build a business from the ground up and then turn it for a significant profit, I mean, it's one of those Canadian success stories of small businesses, making it big. So, man, I commend you for that. You built a very successful product. You built a brand that was desirable, and Hub is one of the biggest, names in the industry. So, you caught their eyes. So that's always a positive. So
yeah, for
congratulations on that. And,
thanks.
From my, personally working with you over the number of years, I can attest to the quality of business that you guys do at LSM.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been great working with you guys. It's been a lot of years. It's been probably about 7 years now, I think. So yeah.
Time flies.
Yeah.
If it's okay with you, Lorne, I thought we'd jump into our rapid fire questions.
Sure. We can do that.
What is in your wallet?
What is in my wallet? Well, I still have a little bit of cash in there. The kids take most of it, but I still have a little bit of cash in there. I got some credit cards. I don't know if I should be saying that. Someone might break into my. I don't have a lot of cash in there, just a little bit of cash. And then I think I got some pictures of the kids in there. And,
nice.
And my wife, and that's kind of what's in there. Not really a huge wallet guy.
Seems like the pretty standard stuff.
Yeah.
What would you say is a book everyone should read, or maybe something you've read recently?
Well, a couple, but I think a book everyone should read is Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I think it's an old book, obviously, but it's just a phenomenal book I read early in my career. I probably read it or listened to it 15 times. And so I think that's a really great book. And one that I just read was Matthew McConaughey's Green Lights. That was I'm an Audible guy, so I listen to a lot of books. And so I've read that one. It's a really good one. It's kind of a bit of a memoir of his life, but it gives a lot of really good tips and ideas on how to build a good life.
Does he
listen to an Audible book of Matthew McConaughey would be very, very, very easy listening.
It's great actually, because he narrates it.
Yeah.
So it's really, really great. With an audiobook, a big thing is a good narrator.
Yeah.
You need a really good narrator, and he does the narration, so it's really good.
I was just listening to an audiobook, and it's not the author that's narrating. It's The Millionaire Teacher. And in the book, he references a bunch of money tables, and he references a bunch of websites. And the amount of times I must have heard www.
Yeah, I know.
It's just oh my God, I can't.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a bit of a slog getting through it. It's still a great book, but it's that I needed to read that one, not listen to it.
Yeah. Some of them you do. Well, I think the good ones that kind of say, look at the appendix, or send you an appendix with it. So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. What was your first job, and what did you learn from it?
First job, actually, I actually had a business as a teenager. I sold collectibles, so like hockey and baseball cards.
No way.
So
An entrepreneur from the start.
Yeah, entrepreneur from the start, and I still have some of the some stuff. And yeah, so I learned, basically how to run a business. How to. I mean, obviously, you're doing everything as a 14-year-old, but figuring out what you're paying for something, what you can sell it for, make a profit. You have to rent the table at these shows. So yeah, it was a cool little cool little business. My parents would drive me there, drop me off, pick me up. So I had free transportation.
Unreal.
That's awesome. Would you? Yeah. What's your favorite team, if you don't mind me asking?
Team in sports? Well, my favorite team in sports. I'm a
hockey, I guess.
Oh, hockey. Well, yeah, I'm a Leaf fan, but my favorite sports, and I'm watching the Leafs now. Hopefully, they win the series tonight as a Toronto fan. But my favorite sport's baseball. So I love baseball. Big softball, slow pitch player. I play all the time, and I play all the time. I don't say I play well all the time, but I play all the time, and I'm a big Blue Jays fan. Yeah.
I mean, that's what the money really is in the trading cards too, is the baseball cards.
Yeah. So I always loved baseball. I always loved looking at the stats of the players. I know all kinds of useless stats on players. I know Jesse Barfield had 40 home runs, and George Bell had 47 homers in his MVP season. I know all this immaterial information stuck in my head.
Well, if you're a stats guy, baseball is the best sport to follow.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. yeah, for sure. So yeah, I like all, I like all sports, but my favorite sport's probably baseball, and then I'm definitely liking this playoff run. How about you guys? Who are your Who are you?
I'm a Leaf fan through and through, and I know Tyler doesn't like to hear that because he's on the other side of this battle.
Yeah,
I'm a Habs fan. My dad's side of the family's all from Montreal, so.
Oh wow! Actually, Mitch Marner grew up. He lived, and we just found this out recently. He lived like not even a 5-minute walk from my house.
Do you have his rookie card? Did you get it signed?
We didn't know that until we moved out. But But yeah, literally, it's like it would have been a 5-minute walk from my house.
Unreal.
If they win the cup, maybe they'll bring the cup by.
Yeah, maybe they'll bring it by. That'd be cool.
Get a chance to touch it. Yeah. I know we kind of talked earlier about some of the myths and misconception about insurance, life insurance. But I'm curious to know if we hit on maybe one of the bigger ones that bugs you. So, what is a commonly held belief in the industry that you passionately disagree with?
I guess what's commonly I'd say that life insurance is a ripoff. Sometimes I wouldn't say that's in the industry. Sometimes that's that's out there in the consumer's mind that life insurance companies are out not to pay their claims and things like that. And it's not true. If you look at the vast majority, 99.5% of policies pay out the claims. I don't have the exact number, but the overwhelming number of policies pay out. And the reason they're not paying out is the person's not disclosing accurate information on their application. So that's a myth that sometimes that can be frustrating, that they think that it's that's not on the up and up. But obviously, a lot of these companies have been around over 130 years, so they must be doing something right.
I like the saying, honesty is the best policy. So,
yeah.
Be honest when you apply. If you had one tweet that everyone in the world was guaranteed to read, if you were to influence someone or everyone in some way, shape, or form, what would that tweet say?
Wow, that's a good one. You threw me on you threw me. I just what I would say is something, probably something that's kind of maybe a little bit corny, but just find something to be grateful for. Because that's what I would say. I think we need more of that, and especially with the way the world's going now, it's just too many people are just finding things that are wrong with the world, and there's a lot that's still right with it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And I think it would play off your, like you said, every morning you have that a gratitude list you work
gratitude
out.
journal.
Yeah.
You're doing your part to make sure that
Yeah, I'm trying. I mean, it's not always easy. I'm not saying I don't have bad days or that I don't have things I'm pissed off about either. But that's if it's kind of what we talked about before. You gotta try and focus. If you focus on the good stuff, you're more likely to have good stuff around you.
Yeah, and as they always say, life's too short, right? So it's
100%. Yeah.
You don't know what you got till it's gone, so that's why you practice gratitude.
It's very true.
Now we're just citing song lyrics.
Yeah, I can pull quotes and song lyrics out of my back pocket for sure.
Yeah. So but you caught me a bit off guard with that one.
That's good.
Oh, I know. That was a dirty question.
Oh wait, there's another one coming. Yeah.
This one's a little fun one, and it answer it whatever way you want. But we ask this to everybody. So like we've kind of already talked about how you thought about it was the right time to sell LSM to Hub. You felt like it was you were ready to kind of move on to that phase. What's your number or a time where you think you're going to walk away and just kind of like I'm hanging up, I'm retired?
Well, when it stops being fun, when if I don't like going to work, then I think it's time to stop working and do something else. To me, that's, maybe, I'm not saying I'm Bill Gates, but, if it stops being, I don't know if he's the right person to give an example of, but when it stops being fun at this stage of my life, that's I think when I'll hang it up.
Yes, that's good. That's a good way to have it, because you're basically saying it's not a financially motivated decision; it's more of a personal decision at that point. You're not waiting for a specific number.
It's exactly. I mean, I've still got to be paid for like everyone. I want to be paid fairly for what I'm doing, but the most important thing, and even early in my career, that was a key variable for me is when something stops being fun. Or it stops being enjoyable, then it's time to stop doing it, because you're going to make more money at something you enjoy for the most part. I mean, if you enjoy doing something, you're going to be passionate about it, and passion breeds success.
Yeah.
You could retire and get back into the trading card game, or what is the
exactly. It's true. So,
that'd be awesome.
Exactly. But I always want to do something. I mean, that you want to whether you're retired or not, it's kind of, you got to have a daily plan each day, and hopefully I'll still be doing that when I'm 90. I'll have some kind of plan each day to try and make that day count a bit.
Definitely.
Okay, this is a new question where I've added to the rapid fire. What do you want to be known for when you die?
Wow. Yeah. What do I want to be known for when I die? I would say someone who enjoyed his life and made the world a little bit better than it was without him.
I like it. I just thought it was appropriate for like a life insurance conversation too.
Yeah. Life insurance. You're ensuring that you're going to leave the world with a little bit more than you came in if you got a good life insurance policy, so you can use it from that stance too.
I think that if there are the two truths, right, death and taxes, then we have no idea when we're going to die, and so we should back to again like your gratitude and your journaling and things like that. If you bring it all back around. It's like, what's your legacy? What is your obituary going to say? And like, you can strive for something. And like, if that's the end goal. So I appreciate that. So thank you very much, Lorne. If people have more questions, where's the best place to find you?
On our website, lsminsurance.ca, so www.lsminsurance.ca.
Okay. And then, Matt, do you have any...
No, I just I want to say thanks again. Just echoing what Tyler said for participating. I kind of already talked earlier. We have a great working relationship, and I appreciate the. It was good to hear more about your story about how LSM came about. And to learn a little bit more, especially for the listeners, about why life insurance is a good product and kind of how it differentiates by the different types. So I think it was very insightful and podcast today.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun.
Thank you for listening. Thank you to Beat Chemist for providing us with our music. Find him on SoundCloud. I want to sincerely thank you for taking the time out of your own day and investing it in yourself to get smarter about money. Head over to Ratehub.ca to learn more about making smarter financial decisions. If you want to thank us, please leave a review on Apple Podcast and follow us on Spotify. Thank you for listening. Let's help Canadians choose better with their finances.
The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views and opinions expressed by Ratehub employees are those of the employees and do not necessarily reflect the views of Ratehub Inc. or any of its sponsors or officials. This is for general use. We're not certified or licensed advisors.
Yeah, we just don't want to get sued.